Well, first, before we dive right into the post and look at how to stitch 180s, VR180, let's talk about how you actually capture it. I want to keep this part short because there's a ton of resources out there already. So if you have the money, the production budget, really want to be the top of the game of VR180, is this rig right now ready to purchase, the Zcam K1 Pro. It's an amazing camera, a bit pricey, but save you a lot of headache in post to create a near to perfect 180s. It's never perfect. No amount of money you spend to buy a rig will get you the perfect no parallax 180 stereoscopic. It just is impossible. You need to understand the challenge and walk around it. But Zcam does solve a lot of headache and take a lot of variable out of the equation, so you need to adjust that. And then there is a more consumer level, is the CoolCam from Kantar coming up next. Gonna release it next month, so you can, if you're not really sure what is right for you, VR180 or VR260, you can try that camera out because it's a camera can switch to 360 to VR180, so you can actually try VR180 out and publish it on YouTube and be the first one out in the market, just in a lesser resolution. And then there's another rig that you need to be aware of, and not out yet, the Lenovo one, but there is a rig already being used in many VR180 industry. It's a custom build rig. One of the rig that is actually we as a content creator used before this fancy Zcam K1 Pro is actually also by Zcam. It's two EOM Pros attached on an Izuga lens. It's designed by the company, amazing company called Izuga. They are a lens company. So it's two fisheye lenses side by side to create perfect 180 stereoscopic. So there's that rig. You can use it actually when it's really cheap because Zcam K1 Pro. So if you want to try VR180, I would suggest get that rig or just get the lens, the Izuga lenses, and attach on maybe two Micro Four Thirds lenses camera like the Panasonic GH5 shooting me right now. So now that's the camera. So after you get the footage, you bring the footage in post, and we will use the Mistika VR beta to really analyze the challenging, the parallax point, and how to stitch VR180 if you have a custom rig, and how to create the first piece of content you can inject meta and upload on Google and YouTube and become the first content creator in VR180. So now we are in the brand new Mistika VR beta. Go ahead and import some VR180 footage. So thank you for Casey Lai, the owner, founder of Izuga Camera, actually provided this footage for us to analyze. So after you import this footage, first go ahead and load up the template, the normal workflow of Mistika. Go no preset. And that is start with the Izuga Z2XL180. That is the preset. So go ahead and pick that and click open. And then immediately we have the side-by-side VR180. First, go ahead and just put into no stereo view and pick the black and white anagraph. And then zoom right in and you see the parallax. So after we apply the preset and also turn on black and white anagraph, and you see the parallax look kind of bad. First thing we want to fix that is to fix the center of the lens within the center of the footage. I'll show you exactly what I meant. So go ahead and pick here for single lens. Again, turn it back to no stereo. So as you see the lens, this is the yellow circle represent the lens, and then the center of the footage lens is not in the center of the yellow circle. So you need to grab it and move it into circle. So let's think about why this will happen. The custom built 180 rig have this common issue. It's like the center of the lens and the center of the sensor of your camera is not really aligned, and different rig have a different alignment issue. So there you cannot build a preset to have a one-size-fit-all solution. So this is shot with the Izuga lens on a Zcam E1 camera. So the lens is screwable. So let's say that if you shoot this with a Panasonic GH5 with the Izuga lens or the antenna lens, the lens is screwable. So each time you put the lens back into your camera, the center will be a slightly offset, and in stereo world, a slightly offset, meaning that the stereo is off. So the step one, if you shot it in the custom rig, the step one is always adjust the center of the footage into the center of your lens by moving the yellow circle. Now we move on to the left eye as well and do the same thing. So that shows you the difference between the sensor alignment and the lens alignment. If you custom build rig, each time you actually need to manually calibrate. If you're using a professional rig like the Zcam K1 Pro, because that camera built like a rock, the center of the lens will perfectly align with the center of the sensor, so will never move and have offset. So you can skip this step. So after this align center process, you can close it. And then immediately you see the stereo is 10 times better. Look at that. The stereo is already really good, at least in the center part, which is great. Okay, now the step 2. For really perfectly aligned stereoscopic 180 footage is to adjust center and the size. So right now that's what majority of the action happens. So we punch in right here, and let's assume that the distant object, while this light fixture right here is in the distance, it should not have vertical parallax. Well, to me, I would decide it should not have any parallax at all. So just to refresh you, if you missed my other Mistika tutorial is for stereo, you want to make sure you have absolutely no vertical parallax. Horizontal parallax is a good parallax, but vertical parallax make people sick. So their goal is to try to get rid of all the vertical parallax. So for this light fixture, because it's infinity distant and I want to determine this have no parallax. So to do that, the new beta feature of Mistika is this AM button. Well, right now you just put it right there, but in the future we'll have different UI to make you know that there is the new alignment tool. So hit that when this turned on. You can use your left mouse to drag the center part. So actually you should prefer to play with the right lens. So go ahead and grab it and move it. See, I move the footage right here to try to do my best. Let me zoom in to get rid of vertical or horizontal parallax of this light fixture. So I continue, move it up and down. Make sure the center point have no parallax. Okay, to me this look good now. The light fixture have absolutely no vertical or horizontal parallax. So we can safely assume right now the center is perfectly aligned. And then that's the center. And then we need to do the left and the right side. So go ahead and turn the grip system and try to find the center horizon line of your rig. Again, make sure that before you shoot, calibrate your rig to make sure it's perfectly level. That is also very important in shooting any stereoscopic footage, 180, 360. You have to make sure you align this horizon line perfectly level. So go ahead and pan to the far right and see that this wording should have no vertical parallax. So now, one cool thing about Mistika, you can adjust that. If you hold that and drag around the right side, see that? You can get rid of the parallax right there. The right side is good, so we do the same thing on the left side. And this side should have no vertical parallax. So again, click the left mouse, drag it down, and make sure this line align. And now we can safely assume that your work is done. This parallax would look good on a VR goggle. So just to show you like why using Mistika do all these three separate process is how you align lenses is actually align through this like pitch, roll, and offset. But all this is actually really hard to understand mentally to adjust. So that's why Mistika try to do this and lock you in. So if you pay attention, like zoom right out, turn the grip off. If you just move around this whole thing, and you see that if you move the center point, you are freely move the footage up, right, left, and right. And you can also roll and tilt and pan. So all of the matrix, like the pitch, offset, and roll is moving. But on the side, look at that. You can only do like you are actually moving like left and right. You're only doing like that. You can only do that, but you cannot put left and right. So Mistika actually forces you to make the parallax mistake by making the control so smart. So that is one advantage of using Mistika to create perfect stereo. It's the built tool to help you to not make parallax mistakes. So this is one good thing why I choose Mistika. And let me just do this again. And let me like show you just why if you're using something like Auto Video Camera Pro, let's say that you want to adjust the pitch, roll, offset manually. If you let's say that adjust the pitch and you affect both sides, like right here and right here. So this is connected. So if you fix this part will become offset. If you move it left and right, it's connect together. So that's really hard to like. If you fix the left, the right will be off. Fix the right, the left is off. So it's just very hard if you do this manually. But I want to point you to another issue right here. Look at that. Remember I said there's no vertical parallax, and you see the bin right here actually have vertical parallax, meaning that's bad. So remember in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that there is no perfect stereoscopic in VR180, and that is an inherited problem of 180 rig. Is like compared to 260 rig is because only two lenses and they are side by side. So it's not a real eye scenario. So in the horizon level, you can keep everything pretty like good, no parallax. But because the fisheye lens effect, so here is actually become, because it's closer to the lens, this will become like shifted, and so we create a vertical parallax. So this part is not gonna be a perfect stereo. Same as this part, and this part. So to safely assume that if you are VR180 filmmaker, you want to make sure that everything is safe. You want to block your subject within the 90-degree block, which is what you will see on YouTube on the website anyway. If you're not doing this on a mobile phone, which meaning you cannot pan around. So what is 180 for Mistika? Is actually really easy if you turn the grid. So this 90 degrees. So this 90 degree, this block is a safe distance. Everything go past this point and this point might not be a safe distance for your actor to move into. So you will try to block them between right here and right here. See my mouse? To create a safe distance. That's a one way as a content creator to avoid the VR180 parallax issue, because everything go up on this area, this area, this area. Like the girl right here will have parallax issue that we cannot fix no matter what rig you are using, including the really expensive K1 Pro for Zcam. After you know about this problem, you still have the creative choice to design what you want to protect in your scene. Let's say that this is very important because there's close-up. I don't want to have any parallax issue. I want this close-up to be perfect, but I don't really care about distance. So look at right now, the distant object is really good. Like there's no vertical parallax. It's distant, there's no parallax at all. So this building is perfect. But again, if you think that your audience would never view that far because of VR180, everything happened in front of their face, it's all they care about. So that is a bigger problem than this one. You want to protect this one, you can make that creative choice using Mistika with this brand new feature called Coaxial Distance. So let me show you exactly what it does. So if you like, let's say that if you use an up down arrow, you can adjust that, but let me pay attention when I do that, you achieve perfect parallax right here on the beat now. So let's say I'll just make it 3, like almost perfect, but at the same time you sacrifice the distant object. The distant object now become problematic to have the vertical parallax. But again, if that is more important than here, and that is the creative choice that you can make with Mistika. And that's one other reason why I like software like Mistika, and you can have creative choice to decide what is more important to your viewer instead of let the camera software design for you. Okay, so now we know all this issue and problem. So now let's work on a really challenging real-world footage to let's just recap everything we just learned to create a VR effect. And with one of the footage I captured using the Izuga lenses. So this is the different footage shot actually by me. It's a dance music video. And then shot with the Izuga setup, the exact same setup you saw before. It's a VR180. Standard workflow. Step 1 is go ahead and load the preset. So that is shot in the Izuga Z2XL180. So that is the preset. After open that, as you see, there is a crazy parallax right here. Remember, that is because the center of the lens is offset with the center of the sensor. So go ahead and first manually fix that by turning to one lens. Again, turn it into no stereo view, and turn off the grid. And one trick is hard to see because that is actually a really dark scene. It's a green screen scene. To help you to really see things clearly, you can there's a hack way you can do it. You can, by blowing out the footage, look at really wide. Now you can actually see the edges of the lens. So your goal is to basically align the circle with the edges of the lens. When you align the edges of the lens, meaning that the center of the sensor will be aligned with the center of your lens. And as you see, like even the exact same camera, because I unscrew and rescrew the lenses, the center shift slightly, and you can really see the difference in between like footage. So that is probably one of the major reasons. Again, to get some professional build rock solid rig, that the center of the sensor will not drift from the center of your lens, and that is why you spend big money to get the Zcam K1 Pro or the Cool Cam from Countdown. But that is fixed. Let's fix the other one as well. Move it on the left. Okay, this looks pretty good. So now you just double click here to reset the brightness. You can turn off the oneness adjustment. As you see immediately, turn on the black and white anaglyph. Look at immediate stereo is looking really, really good. Okay, so this footage is different. So now it's a real world scenario. As a content creator, you all run into different scenario. This is a shot in a green screen footage, so there's no distant object in the back. So how do you determine what have parallax, what don't? Actually, that is a really good question. I hope you can answer this question as a VR filmmaker. If you can, I'll show you the answer right now. So that is a dance footage. So it's from him standing really far behind. Dancing. Then he goes really close to the camera. So as a stereo world principle, like if you stand far behind, you should have no parallax, and if you come in closer to the lens, you should have parallax. So that your eye will trick yourself to see that, oh, that is a closer object and there's a further object. There's a whole theory behind stereoscopic, right? So we can actually use this principle to help yourself to identify a different point where you should have parallax and where you should not have parallax. So right here, close to the lens, should have parallax. So let's find one position he stand far behind, like right here. It's a good one. So now he stand really far behind from the camera. That's the furthest he stand. And let's determine this point. I don't want him to have any parallax. That is the infinity point. So to do that, again, same workflow. To turn on the AM right here, and grab the right lens and adjust the center for us first by moving the footage right here. Zoom right in. Pay attention to his shoulder. Make sure you don't see any red and any green. So right here, if you move it up and down, left and right. So now it's perfect. So now this whole body, him right here, this shoulder point, I determine this point is the infinity distant point. It should have no parallax. Any point from this forward should have parallax when it go close to the camera. So now it's good. It's no vertical parallax, no horizontal parallax, everything fixed. But if you jump into footage right here, see, closer to the camera, and then he had parallax. Great. Okay, then the next thing to adjust again is the left and right. And actually this time, let's do it the left side first. Go ahead and punch in right here. As you see, you want to align this into, make sure they have no vertical parallax. Actually, one trick is turn the grip. Right here, there's the horizontal line. And you can use this line to align the left wire to make sure the blue and red is perfectly no vertical parallax. That's look good to me. Now go ahead and do the right side. Let's do it right this thing. Okay, that's good. So now this is fixed, but I want you to pay attention to, again, using this coaxial feature. released in the brand new Mistika beta is, if you pay attention, look at the bottom. So there is a slightly parallax right here at the edge of the lens, and some parallax in here as well, like right to the leg. And you can fix that by not messing around the center, by manually moving this value. So if I go move 3, now look at that, the parallax is gone, and that's really not should have any parallax anyway, because that is a really far distant object. It's actually further than the point that we adjust when he's standing. So now we basically fix this parallax vertically in the left. And if you check the vertical right, it's also fixed the parallax here as well with this value. So this is the magic value that you can adjust to fix that. But you might ask, why is this even matter? Is this value actually affect the center of the frame? It does affect the center of the frame. So if you pay attention to his leg, right here, if I remove that value, you see that the red is actually lower than the green. There is vertical parallax even in the center object. But sometimes it's really hard for you to see it in the center, but it's easier for you to find this problem in the side. And so you will adjust this value with the side and then really fix that extra parallax so you have a better stereo. Like, see, right now we have really stereo on his leg. So that is mostly done. That is how you really create stereoscopic VR180. A lot of manual work in the future. If you're using a better rig like the Zcam K1 Pro, you probably would not need to do any of this. But now you have the background knowledge. You're working with such a challenging rig, have so many changing variable, and then the theory behind VR180. So you have the knowledge to actually, if you need to, manually achieve a better stereoscopic with VR180. So let's try to finish the process right here. Again, go ahead and match color in time. That's the always step you do. And then to look at what it actually look like in VR, in Google VR180, you can take the side-by-side VR180, turn off all the overlay. So that is what will look like actually in the final output. And if the output format like that upload directly on YouTube, you will create that Elton John style video, which the VR180. If you watch it on a website, all you see is the center square right here. Because on the website, you cannot pan left and right. But if you watch it on a mobile phone, on something like the Google Cardboard or mostly the Daydream headset, you can actually have a 180-degree pan around with that. One thing I want to show you that is you kind of still see the lens right here. Right, so that's why you see a lot of VR180 actually have their logo put it right here to block the lenses. But again, this is a custom rig. There's another problem because the center of the sensor is off center. You still see the black right here. So to fix that completely, you can adjust the final number, the conversion. You can make it go down a little bit, and now what it does is basically just like zoom a little bit closer to get rid of all the point that the camera did not cover. So think about you're not just scouting in, you actually walk into the half spheres, and that is what the effect look like in helping to get rid of the extra edges. If you want to really get rid of everything too, you can even dive in further to get rid of the lens left and right and tiny. I would not suggest that though, because that's a little bit like, you know, kind of fisheye effect on the subject. If that is not what you're looking for, you can always just put a logo right here to cover the lens. And then after that fix, you can go ahead and render in Mistika. So in here, I usually love to use the Nvidia movie and use QP, which pretend the highest quality possible, but you can also just use this one for faster rendering. And then this is the left and right. So really important, make sure you pick left and right VR180. That is the YouTube format, and to make sure you inject the correct data to generate the correct format for YouTube. And then in movie, because have audios on this one, and then make sure you click the ingest spatial metadata, and then go ahead and hit render. After that, you can upload on YouTube, and you will have your first piece of VR180 content. It's not created by the official camera like the Zcam K1 Pro or the or the Lenovo. You actually capture it with different camera like the custom build rig, Izuga rig right here, but you can still achieve VR180 on YouTube. So hopefully you learned something from this video. Again, this is a discussion, open discussion between me and my subscriber, my audience, the professional. I hopefully you guys understand that VR180 is very different from VR360. You're facing a different type of challenge when you film. And again, I want to give a special shout out to Roman from Mistika to provide me his insight, his knowledge, his technical know-how to help me to understand VR180 so I can share this knowledge to you guys so you guys can be step ahead of the game. Again, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumb up. If you want to learn more about VR180, want to see more content created by me in VR180, and want to learn more about different rigs like the Zcam K1 Pro, the Coolcam from Kandao, or the Lenovo, the E. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the big subscribe button there. Want to check that way. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.